In the city of Townsville lives a host of villains, crooks, and evildoers. And it's up to the Powerpuff Girls to keep the citizens of Townsville safe and secure from all the baddies. With a rogues gallery that some may argue rivals even the best comic books have to offer, there's a lot of morality to cover. But that's what we're here to find out. Today, we ask who is the most evil of all the evildoers who run amok in Townsville. And who is the most righteous in a town with literal superheroes? Well, let's find out. Salutations, I'm Kyle with WickedBinge, and this is the Powerpuff Girls Good to Evil. Yes! As usual, we'll be starting with the purest character and working our way down. And the gold medal of good goes to none other than the sugar component of the Powerpuff Girls herself, Bubbles. Bubbles had to be our pick for the personification of pure good in the Powerpuff Girls universe. She is the joy and laughter of the trio of super sisters. She is always there to put a smile on the face of the citizens of Townsville. Sweet, naive, innocent, and a bit ditzy at times, Bubbles is always there to rescue anyone in need. In fact, as stated in the episode The City of Frownsville, Bubbles was voted the happiest citizen in Townsville for the 6th year in a row. If that doesn't show just how pure Bubbles is, what does? Another reason Bubbles is our pick for most good is her dynamic with her sisters Blossom and Buttercup. With her sisters always being at each other's throats, Bubbles is always there to mediate the situation between them to get them back on task, as seen in the episode Octa Evil. Like most heroes, she has her rage moments, but when you compare that to all the positivity and light she brings on an almost consistent basis, there is no wonder why this super little girl with the pigtails takes the top spot on our good list. Now the silver medal of good goes to the leader of the trio, everything nice herself, Blossom, the self-appointed leader of the Powerpuff Girls. Bright and logical, if not a bit egocentric, Blossom is good, just like Bubbles. Being the brains of the trio, she is the first one to come up with most of the plans that save the day. Armed with the color pink and a giant red bow, Blossom is always ready to protect and defend. Though she thoroughly enjoys her position as leader, she truly wants the best for everyone in the city of Townsville. Blossom has arguably the strongest sense of justice of the three heroes. She keeps the three in sync with each other, and she is at her absolute best when she is in her role as leader. She is also not above acknowledging and implementing someone else's idea if it will result in a better outcome. When it comes to her sisters, Blossom may come off as overbearing at times, but she knows she is better off with them than without them, and that will never change. She is a piece of the Powerpuff Girls that can't be replicated, and that's why Blossom is deserving of the silver medal of good. Taking the bronze medal of good, the trio wouldn't be complete without her, the Queen of Spice, Buttercup. Saying that she's tough as nails would be quite the understatement. To those of you that think she may not be deserving of this spot because of her temper, we are here to prove you wrong. Yes, Buttercup has a temper, but rarely is that temper not directed at villains or let out in a constructive way to save the citizens of Townsville. If Bubbles is the heart of the Powerpuff Girls and Blossom is the brains, then Buttercup is, without a doubt, the muscle of the group. Brave and stubborn, Buttercup takes the most joy out of her duties as a superhero. But she's also just as loyal to and protective of the citizens of Townsville as her sisters. She also has a soft side to her as well. As seen in the episode Cover Up, she is just as attached to her blanket as Bubbles is to her Octi. She may fight and bicker with her sisters, but she loves them very much and is willing to go to great lengths to make sure they're safe. Buttercup is also the Powerpuff Girl that sacrifices the most in terms of personal comfort to ensure victory. The most notable examples being in the episode The Rowdy Rough Boys. She was disgusted with the act of kissing Butch to defeat him, yet did it anyway, for the sake of saving everyone. She can be a bully at times, but at the end of the day, she is just about as good as her sisters, if not just more complex. And like the others, it just wouldn't be the Powerpuff Girls without the girl in green, and that's why she gets our number 3 spot. Up next, the nicest lady in all of Townsville, resident educator Miss Keene. Miss Keene is the kind of teacher we all wish we had growing up. Kind, patient, and understanding, she is always there to bestow knowledge and wisdom upon the Powerpuff Girls when needed. Probably the closest thing the girls have to a motherly figure in their lives, the girls have nothing but the utmost respect for sweet old Miss Keene. Like any great educator, she doesn't permit fighting in school, even for the Powerpuff Girls. She instead convinces them that there are other ways to solve problems without violence, as shown in the episode, Pastes Makes Waste. Apologizing and admitting that they were wrong was the way that they saved the day, and without Miss Keene, it may have taken a while to get there. Coming in right after Miss Keene, we have Townsville's own lovable scientist and father to the Powerpuff Girls, Professor Utonium. First off, he definitely deserves credit for creating the Powerpuff Girls. Professor Utonium is the overprotective, loving, and supportive father that the girls need. Though not the most competent scientist, seeing that the only inventions of his that work are those that were made by accident. Even the girls. But still, even with his ineptness, the professor, as he is referred to, is the girls' biggest cheerleader. When they're down in the dumps about dealing with a villain, each other, or anything else under the sun, he's there with a pep talk filled with knowledge, understanding, and love. By no means is Professor Utonium perfect, and his history with a certain green chimpanzee attests to that. Nor is he very good with women, however he is an amazing father to the girls and a pretty upstanding citizen when compared to others in the city of Townsville. Next we have somewhat of an unconventional choice, the narrator. Now you may be asking why the narrator is here as he just narrates, but we would argue that it's not an episode of the Powerpuff Girls if it doesn't start with, in the city of Townsville, and ends with, so once again the day is saved thanks to the Powerpuff Girls. Therefore, the narrator deserves a spot on our list, and a good spot. An omnipresent force, the narrator is probably the biggest Powerpuff Girls fan in all actuality. He expresses legitimate joy and excitement at the heroic actions of the girls, and legitimate fear and anxiety when they're losing a fight. He's also prone to boredom when they aren't doing anything. It's interesting to note that the narrator can also make the girls do what he wishes. In one episode, Mojo Jojo takes over as the narrator and proceeds to control the girls' actions. Ultimately, the girls restore the narrator's powers and are happy to have him back, even giving him a ride home. Though he may never be seen, his love and admiration for the Powerpuff Girls is as palpable as if he were. And because of it, in that iconic intro and outro, he lands here in the good area. Right after the narrator, we have another somewhat unconventional choice. You know him, you love him, Talking Dog. A consistent presence throughout the Powerpuff Girls series, Talking Dog is a truly iconic background character. Though usually seen getting hurt in some way by both the girls and villains, Talking Dog is a typical citizen of Townsville. Whether he is working as a guard dog at the local prison or just walking on the street, he's usually in some type of danger. Nonetheless, you can usually count on him to yell out to the girls when there's a dangerous attack they should look out for, like when he yelled out to them to look out for the rowdy rough boys. We also get to learn more about Talking Dog in the episode Shut Up the Pup, as he is shown to be blunt, abrasive, and a bit insulting. However, with what goes on in Townsville, that's not all that surprising. At the end of that episode, he thanks Blossom, Bubbles, and Buttercup for their help and hospitality, showing that even if he is blunt, he still has a lot of respect for them. He's also visited them at home a couple of times. He truly is a good pup. With that said, we've wrapped up the good characters. We now move into neutral territory. This is the gray area. And our first inductee into the gray area is the curly-haired, never-quite-seen assistant to the mayor, Miss Sarah Bellum, or just simply Miss Bellum, the loyal secretary to the mayor of Townsville. More on him later. Alluring and sultry, she keeps the ship running in the mayor's office. The brains of the operation, Miss Bellum is much more competent to run the city of Townsville than the actual mayor. Depicted as a calm, understanding, and pretty rational woman, she is a much-needed voice of reason in the series. Much like Miss Keene, she is somewhat of a motherly figure to the girls. Also, she is partially responsible for the downfall of the rowdy rough boys. After telling the girls to go for a more flirtatious and feminine approach, which actually works. Miss Bellum doesn't quite make the good area of our list for one particularly glaring reason. All throughout the series, it is implied that Miss Bellum is having an affair with the married mayor of Townsville. Also, telling children to force kiss other children, even if it is to save the world, is off-putting. Of course, we know she meant well and it ended satisfactory, but when you add that to the implied affair with the mayor, we feel she is properly placed. After Miss Bellum, we have a quick one, and it's our first villain on the list, Little Elmer's Glue. Elmer is a fellow kindergartner with the Powerpuff Girls and Mitch Mitchelson. An ordinary boy with a love for eating paste. In the episode Paste Makes Waste, Elmer is bullied for eating paste and turns into a giant paste monster that terrorizes the town. He nearly succeeds, but when Buttercup apologizes to him instead of using force, he forgives and befriends her, stopping his city rampage. Showing that he's lonely and misunderstood and not evil. Nobody deserves to be bullied for their difference, and Little Elmer was no exception. The only reason he isn't higher is, well, because he did almost destroy Townsville. Right after Elmer, there is Pokey Oak's designated bully, Mitch Mitchelson, Buttercup's unofficial best friend. He is a nasty, greedy little meanie. Him calling Elmer a paste eater led to a series of events that could have ended much worse, as mentioned in the previous entry. However, at the end of the day, he is just your stereotypical little schoolyard bully. A weak boy with a loud mouth, not a major threat to Townsville. In fact, as revealed in the Powerpuff Girls movie, Mitch is the one who taught the girls how to play tag. So there is a good kid in there capable of cooperation and kindness. We couldn't rank him any lower, but not any higher either. The next inductee into our gray area is the morally questionable mayor of Townsville. It's not malevolence that ranks the mayor in the neutral part of the list, more like downright incompetence. The mayor is a clueless and helpless leader that really shouldn't be running an entire town, entirely dependent on his deputy Miss Cerebellum and the Powerpuff Girls. The most good thing about the mayor of Townsville is that at least when he knows a villain is terrorizing the town, he calls the Powerpuff Girls. Equipped with the cutest phone in all of cartoons, whenever he uses it, you know that the heroes are on their way to save the day. However, he is not above abusing the privilege of his special connection with the girls, like calling for them to open a jar of pickles. Not the most shining example of a leader. And like Miss Bellum, the mayor is ranked where he is because of the implied affair he's having with her. Furthermore, in addition to having an affair behind his wife's back, in the episode Power Bluff, he revealed that he would gladly trade his wife for a porcelain poodle. Not something a good husband or mayor would say. Honestly, the only reason he doesn't rank any lower is that he does care for the safety of the citizens of Townsville. He does call the girls when he's needed, but this is as high as he's gonna rank. We are kinda sorry for the next 3 entries into the gray area because we know that they would want to be in the evil category. Nonetheless, we have the Amoeba Boys, Slim, Junior, and their leader, Bossman. These primitive unicellular organisms are labeled as officially the lamest and most weak villains in Townsville, having more of a sort of friendship with the Powerpuff Girls than being actual threats. Slim is the most incompetent and simple-minded of the 3, with the others berating him any chance they get. Junior isn't much more intelligent than Slim, with him usually just regurgitating whatever Bossman says. The leader of the Amoeba Boys is also the one that comes up with all of the dastardly deeds that they commit. Deeds so evil that they include plots like littering and jaywalking. Now, we aren't saying that these things aren't bad, but they just aren't on par with the other villains. In the episode Birthday Bash, they give the girls voodoo dolls for their birthday in an attempt to be able to control them. Ultimately, they just end up being regular dolls, and the girls are very appreciative. Though for as many losses that they've received, they did successfully steal every orange in Townsville, resulting in the entire town getting scurvy, which is terrifying. As common in the series, the most successful act of villainy the Amoeba Boys accomplished was by accident. They got so gravely ill in one episode and infected everyone else in town. Sadly for them, and luckily for the girls, this matter was resolved and they were back being the healthy, lame villains that they once were. As we stated before, we wish we could put them in the evil category, but we just can't. The Amoeba Boys are just too lame. Up next, we have the one-eyed giant from the Gangrene Gang, Big Billy. Big Billy may be the muscle of the Gangrene Gang, but he is by far the least bad of the bunch. He is very childlike and innocent in nature. He just does what he is told by the other members, but those aren't his wants and desires. His following nature is displayed in the episode Slave the Day, in which the Powerpuff Girls save him, and he begins to follow them around in an attempt to help and join them. Of course, this doesn't work out in the long run, but this shows that he is a simple guy who deserves much better friends. Friends who will help him and not take advantage of his simple nature. There isn't really a way for us to rank him any higher because of just how much he has participated in the gang's activities and the manner in which he uses his muscles to aid in crimes. But Big Billy isn't all that bad, and for that reason we keep him in the gray area. And with that said, the gray area is complete. We're now firmly in the bad and evil. And starting off the bad list, we have 3 other members of the Gangrene Gang: Grubber, Little Arturo, and Snake. Described as more of a nuisance than actual villains by the Powerpuff Girls, the Gangrene Gang are nothing more than troublemaking delinquents with nothing better to do. With activities that include prank calls, vandalism, petty theft, and picking on little kids, they are only a notch above the Amoeba Boys. You may be wondering why Big Billy lands in the neutral area and Grubber doesn't. Well, though he may be mostly mute, Grubber shows that he understands what is going on, and willingly participates in the crimes they commit. He's also the member that leader Ace takes the most value of their opinion and participation. Little Arturo seemingly takes the most enjoyment out of the gang's activities, and armed with his switchblade-style comb, Maria Conchita Teresa Rosalita, he is always happy to get into trouble. Second in command Snake is more of a yes man to Ace than anything. When he even tries to speak up, he gets berated and abused. However, this doesn't make him any less bad. In the episode Power Lunch, he was more than ready to use his newly acquired stretchy superpowers to drop a Big Billy rock on the Powerpuff Girls. If that's not bad, what is? Then we have Ace, the leader of the Gangrene Gang. What can we say about Ace that we haven't said about the rest of his gang? He's every bit of a hoodlum that they are, but worse. Probably the most dangerous aspect of Ace is that he is a charismatic opportunist. Whenever an opportunity arises, Ace is the first one to try and exploit something or someone for personal gain. Like in one episode when he took advantage of Buttercup's crush on him. He referred to Buttercup as a tool that will help him take over Townsville. Couple that with his constant physical and mental abuses of the rest of the gang, and Ace is both a creep and a bad leader. Not even the gorillas can make us rank him any higher. Next up, we have the banjo lover himself, Fuzzy Lumpkins. Oh, Fuzzy, we understand your solitary nature, but the actions you take to achieve your goal is why you land here on our list. The large, pink, stereotypical hillbilly monster is one of the most famous villains in the series, which is ironic because he would rather be left alone. Armed with his boomstick, a shotgun ready to tell anything and anyone to get off of my property, he is rude, aggressive, and pretty arrogant. And he's quick to shoot first when it comes to the Powerpuff Girls. Yet for someone who wants to be left alone, he takes pleasures in robbing banks and terrorizing the citizens of Townsville when he sees fit. He's also a cheater, as shown in the episode Impeach Fuzz, when he uses his family to cheat at wrestling in order to stay in power. Fuzzy's also not above joining other villains to take down the girls and terrorize the world. He, along with Mojo Jojo, him, and Princess Morbucks, create a villains team known as the Beatles. A dangerous hypocrite at its finest, Fuzzy doesn't rank any lower because he isn't as successful or evil as other villains on our list. Next up we have Sedusa. While she may not be as recurring as some of the other villains on the list, Sedusa is one of the most dangerous. An enchantress of sorts, she uses her powers to trick men into doing what she wants them to do. In the episode Mommy Fearist, she disguised her identity using the alias I'm a Good Lady to manipulate Professor Utonium into thinking she was trying to take care of the girls when all she really wanted to do was control them. Or in the episode Aspirations, where she manipulated the Gangrene Gang into helping her obtain Cleopatra's items, and in turn betrayed them and kept the items for herself. Though manipulation is her style, she is quick to jump into offense with her snake-like hair. Sedusa doesn't appear enough to be any lower on our list, but she definitely deserves her spot right here. Moving on down the evil ladder, we have Princess Morbucks, a spoiled, selfish little girl with almost all the money in the world. Easily the most envious person in the series, Princess strives to be a Powerpuff Girl, but not because she wants to do any good. She wants to be a Powerpuff Girl for the fame and notoriety, with the girls understandably rebuffing her every time. Prone to temper tantrums and armed with a yellow supersuit and jetpack, Princess believes that if she can't be a Powerpuff Girl, then no one should be a Powerpuff Girl. All the good for the world they do doesn't matter. She can't see past her own twisted wants and desires. She's also not above using her dad's money for bribes, as shown in the episode Mo Job, when she bribes Mojo Jojo into doing her bidding. However, if that's not enough to secure this little girl's position of being so low on the list, her actions in 'Twas the Fight Before Christmas will be. She made it so that every other kid in the world was put on Santa's naughty list except her. Even with her receiving everything she ever wanted and finally getting powers, she continued to be horrible. Shocker. She could have anything in the world, but it's never enough. Princess Morbucks is a little monster, and the only reason this bratty little child isn't any lower is that in the world of Powerpuff Girls, there are actually worse. From one nefarious child to 3 even more nefarious children, our bronze medal for evil is a 3-way tie between 3 bad boys: Boomer, Butch, and Brick, also known as the Rowdy Rough Boys. These little guys may not be the most recurring villains, but what they lack in appearances they make up for with overwhelming notoriety. These destructive, gender-swapped versions of the Powerpuff Girls are not to be underestimated by their looks. Sugar, spice, and everything nice isn't in these boys' genetic makeup, as shown in their debut episode, The Rowdy Rough Boys. Snips, snails, and puppy dog tails mixed with Chemical X make Boomer, Butch, and Brick 3 of the most formidable foes the girls have ever faced. The level of pure enjoyment they experience from violence and wreaking havoc is unmatched by any other villain in the show. The children of Mojo Jojo, and later him, are every bit as powerful, short-tempered, merciless, mean, and abusive as the Powerpuff Girls are heroic, kind, nice, supportive, and powerful. And that's pretty scary. These 3 were born bad, and they love it, and for that, they take our bronze medal for evil. Taking the silver medal for the most evil on our list is the super intelligent, genetically enhanced chimpanzee Mojo Jojo. Without a doubt the main antagonist of the series and one of the most iconic villains in all of cartoons, Mojo Jojo lives up to every bit of his legacy. He has 2 simple goals. The first one is that he wants to take over the world, and the second is his wish to destroy the Powerpuff Girls. By far the most persistent villain in the series, diabolical and cunning, he always has a plan ready to accomplish those goals. As displayed in the Powerpuff Girls movie, in which he created an army of Chemical X injected primates to take over Townsville and the world, to a level of success. Due to his superior intelligence, Mojo has outsmarted and used the Powerpuff Girls for his own gain. His hatred of the Powerpuff Girls stems from jealousy and abandonment issues as a result of his past relationship with Professor Utonium. He is half responsible for their creation, but unlike Princess's jealousy, he wants a world where the Powerpuff Girls never existed, and that is a hard pill to swallow. Finally, without further ado, we get to the most evil character on the list, and taking the gold medal for the most evil character in the entire Powerpuff Girls universe is a character so evil, so diabolically terrible, that just uttering his name sends a shock down your spine. Him. Even his name evokes a certain amount of fear in our bodies. The sinister king of darkness is the androgynous red demon that prefers psychological torture over physical violence. Mysterious and ruthless, he plays on weaknesses such as fears to play mind games and drive people apart. Armed with a voice as terrifying as his powers, his goal with the Powerpuff Girls is to drive them apart. And he's been close to succeeding. He especially enjoys messing with our champion of good, Bubbles. As seen in the episode Octolove, he possesses Bubbles' beloved Octi and uses him to break up the girls and manipulate Bubbles by empowering her negative feelings and warping her reality, which are just elements of his vast powers. Unlike Mojo Jojo, he has no motives for the things that he does, he just does them. His psychological torture goes past the girls, however, as seen in the episode Tough Love, where he possesses all the citizens of Townsville and has them turned against the girls. Also, like Mojo Jojo, he is responsible for the return of the new and improved, kiss-immune Rowdy Rough Boys. And though he may be more inclined to torture you with mind games and illusion, him is not above engaging in physical combat. What makes him the most terrifyingly evil character is the fact that he is more than capable of destroying the Earth by throwing the sun at it, as revealed in the episode Custody Battle. The only reason he doesn't is that Mojo informed him how stupid that would be. If he went through with it, there was nothing the Powerpuff Girls could do at that moment. That's terrifying and evil. Having the ability to destroy the world in the blink of an eye, with no rhyme or reason for his actions, or simply just because he wanted to, makes him the most evil character in the Powerpuff Girls universe. Sorry in advance for any nightmares this may cause. But what do you think? Who are the most good and evil characters in the Powerpuff Girls universe? Let us know in the comments section below. Hit that notification bell and binge our Good to Evil playlist, where we break down the morality of the characters in your favorite shows, cartoons, and movies. But most importantly, stay wicked.